What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about how Little Hope has a lot to prove. Now, I don't want to be negative Nancy, okay, and I think I actually have already done videos talking about Little Hope, like mistakes it can't make or why I'm worried about it, so I didn't want to make a super overly negative video, but I kind of want to blend it. I want to talk about, yeah, there's a lot of things that are standing in the way of it being a good game, but also what it can do actually to be really good, okay? So I want to try and have a blend for it. This is the start of my Little Hope content. I try to do videos for games that are coming out a few weeks before they come out and kind of have a couple different topics on them, doing it for Watch Dogs, doing it for Little Hope. So we'll have different discussions over the next couple of weeks on Little Hope. I'll be playing the game, hopefully day one, be making videos on it, all that good stuff, okay? So a lot more, basically what I'm saying, a lot more Little Hope videos coming very, very soon. If you guys like that, make sure you like this video. Make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel, getting very close, maybe already hit 40K, but if we haven't, definitely want to very, very soon. And also, if you guys haven't followed me on Twitter yet, please do. Podcast Now 15 is the Twitter handle. I know Twitter is often regarded as a toxic place on the internet. I'm not lying to you. I really do love the Twitter community. I really do feel like we've put together a pretty awesome community of non-toxic people on Twitter to kind of fend off against the toxic people. So, again, Podcast Now 15. So, let's talk about this game. I'm recording this a few videos after I recorded the Until Dawn one. In fact, I did an Until Dawn video yesterday. If you guys didn't check it out, we talked about the history of Until Dawn, why I think it could be like the perfect horror game even 5 years later. And, you know, thinking about that game, I won't lie to you. Again, I'm not a lying person, okay? When I was talking about that game, I kind of was thinking pretty down on Little Hope, where it's like, man, Until Dawn was literally the pinnacle or the peak of so many amazing things from Supermassive, whereas Man of Medan was just such a step backwards, and then Little Hope, I don't know. And so when you think of Little Hope, it really does have a lot to prove. This game can absolutely be good. I'm not saying it can't be good. I think that, and I've said this before, the style of these anthology games, I do think can work. I do think there's value, and I do think there's potential in doing this 8 game, if they're still planning on that, which, by the way, as I've said, I really don't think that's still the case. 8 games, 4 5-ish hours each game, comes out every 6 months, which again is just flat out not going to happen. It already hasn't happened. But I think there's a lot of potential there. I think you have an opportunity to tell mini stories like you would maybe in like smaller books. You could tell stories with characters, and you can constantly be coming up with different characters, and you can constantly try out different horror mediums, right? Until Dawn did a lot of different things, right? And again, I talked about that in that video where it really was a blend of like like a killer, like an actual human being, like a thriller kind of thing, like a Scream kind of movie. It was that, and it was also mixed with the supernatural aspects, right, with the Wendigo stuff. And Man of Medan, that one really only focused on one thing, right, like the ship and the mystery there, and like the haunting of it, whether or not it was actually real, like really happening, or whether it was some man-made thing. So there were some things going on there, but the main issue I have with Man of Medan, besides the characters being pretty darn awful, I don't really think any character really stood out all that much, was that it did pick up. I will actually say the last hour of that game, I would say, is actually pretty darn good. And if the whole 4 hours were as good as that 1 hour, it would have been a much, much better game. But like all of these kind of games, it takes some time. It takes some time to get to know these characters. It takes some time to get into the universe that they want you to go into, to get into the lore or the supernaturally-ness, whatever phrase you want to use. And that's the issue I still have with Little Hope, where it's like, all right, by the way, so again, the game's premise, I like this little witch town, going back in the day to like the Salem witch trials. Like, these are all insanely cool things that I do want to see play out. And by the way, again, this is a good set piece. This is a good timepiece kind of thing, and a good like horror medium of using, again, these witches, and there's obviously like some sort of demons going on in this game as well. Like, using these things in this game, I think can actually work extremely well. The issue is just, again, the whole core of this game, you're only going to be in this game for 4 or 5 hours. There's these characters. I've already told you flat out, I'm not, because again, like I've talked about the gameplay, I've talked about the trailers we've gotten on this game. I'm not a big fan of any of the characters that we've seen we've seen all of them. I'm not a big fan of them. I don't think the acting is all that good, whether that's intentional or not. That's just my opinion. You can totally, it's okay to disagree, by the way. It's okay to disagree. And by the way, I want to be proven wrong, and I want them to do a really good job. And I'm going to give them every chance in the book, okay? I really, really am. But already short game. You got to get us in, and you got to get us to understand these characters. And more than even that, you still, I think, have Until Dawn hovering over Supermassive and hovering over this game, where whether they like it or not and whether people like it or not, when you play Little Hope and when you're going into Little Hope, Until Dawn is still the standard that's set. And, I would be lying to you if I would say I don't compare games, because I do. I don't like to. I don't like actively, like when I'm playing a game, I don't actively think, okay, well, where does this measure up, metrically or analytically to this part of this game? I don't do that, but, when I'm talking about a game, I do say, oh, this is a little bit like I am playing Ghost of Tsushima. So I am thinking a little bit about Witcher. You know what I mean? I just factually am. Or I'm thinking about other open world games I'm playing. I mean, that is just generally what I do, but honestly, I think that's what a lot of people do. Maybe not the majority, because honestly, if you see Little Hope comes out the day before Halloween, which, by the way, as I've said, I love that. That's another thing the game's got going for it. Horror game, cheap, $30. I mean, in a time where games are $70 now, very, very good price, even for, it only being 4 or 5 hours. Obviously, you can play through it multiple times, so price is good. Day before Halloween for a horror game. If they have any money whatsoever, they should be putting it in their marketing department to get this game out in front of people to say, hey, you want a perfect horror game for Halloween? Here's your perfect horror game. All those things they need to be doing. And so, yeah, maybe you're going to have people that play this game that have never played Until Dawn before, but I just think it's a smaller game. It's not like Supermassive is not like a super tiny team by any stretch, but it's a smaller game. Man of Medan, I don't think did very well at all in sales and in pretty much any metric whatsoever. Little Hope, I would imagine, isn't going to do like absolute like gangbusters, right? I think it's going to do okay, but I don't think it's going to do like incredible. I don't think it'll reach Until Dawn. And so again, I think people will, especially even like me, I will have that in the back of my head saying like, okay, well, can this compete with Until Dawn? And maybe we just have to kind of get that out of our heads, right? Where it's like these games aren't supposed to be Until Dawn. These games are supposed to be smaller, again, like very separated stories from each other, and that's fine. And I like the idea of that. It's just I don't know. This is a game that's difficult for me because I want to love it. I'm going to give it chances. I mean, I'm not going to go in this game and say this game is garbage right off the start. I want this game to be good, but I do see a lot of red flags, and I've seen red flags for a lot of games, and I know sometimes when I call them out, people sometimes get after me where it's like, well, you can't judge the game until the final product or whatever things people will yell at me for. I get that, but at the same time, I think a lot of them ends up being true. And when you do see issues, and when you can go through the history of a development team, or when you go through a history like this, all these things do kind of add up. They really, really do. They do add up, and who knows? I mean, and the issue, too, with these kind of games is they could have other games. In fact, they probably do have at least the next game probably halfway or more done. Okay, and so like how much work do they put into any of these games is a good question. So I want this game to be good, okay? I really, really do. I'm going to give this game chances. It does have a lot to prove. It has, I would say the biggest thing it needs to prove is that Until Dawn was not a one-off, because at this point, I'm always going to give them credit for Until Dawn. Supermassive Games is always going to be known to me, at least the people that were there at the time that made Until Dawn, they will always be extremely talented in my mind. The team itself, when you say Supermassive, when you really say that with any development team, you're talking about the legacy of them, but you're supposed to also be talking about them currently. So I would say right now, currently, they have Until Dawn to their name, but then you have Man of Medan, which just flat out wasn't all that good, okay? So you've had a shaky one. Little Hope, if this game is not very good either, well, now you got 2 in a row. Your track record's not looking real good, right? And it's not looking like it's going to get better anytime soon. So they really... Not only does the game need to be good, but they need it to be, for the game's purpose, for sales, for stuff like that, but also needs to be at least a bounce back. At least it needs to be better than Man of Medan. Maybe not as good as Until Dawn, but better than Man of Medan, so that they can prove that Until Dawn was not a one-off, that they're capable of doing this, that you can trust them for the next 6 games in their anthology, if that ends up happening, and lay off them. Okay, those are things that they need to prove to us, and I think Little Hope can do it. I really, really do, and I want it to, but at the same time, time. We have to obviously wait until we play it, right? So, guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? You excited for Little Hope? I know there's a couple people on this channel that are very excited for it, but let me know what you guys think about this game. What does the game need to prove to you guys? As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up, and thank you all so much for watching. Again, like I said, there's going to be more Little Hope videos over the coming weeks, and I'll have videos when the game comes out as well, okay? Thank you for watching, guys, and I hope to see you all there.